Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Cox, and I thought that I would just throw together this quick, very quick, promise 3-minute video on some ways that I thought that we could incorporate the concept of STEM into climate change learning in a grade 10 science classroom. And so for those of you who don't know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And often when we're talking about science and math, that technology and that engineering component they fit in. But as science teachers, I think that we do a really poor job, at least most of us, or most of us who I've worked with, which is a very small piece of the pie. We don't do a very good job of incorporating that art concept. And what I'm seeing happening in my high school is that because of this, students are not making an awesome choice about continuing science in grade 11 and 12. In fact, after grade 10, we're seeing that we're losing a lot of students to other programs such as social sciences or art or English, all worthy programs. However, these are students who had an intellectual knack or academically were inclined towards science. And when I asked some of them this year at my school, I did a quick Google Form survey with my students, as well as students in other science sections in grade 10. Most of the responses that I got surprised me. It wasn't because they didn't find science interesting or the concepts interesting that we were talking about. It was that we were limiting their ability to express what they were learning. In that our emphasis had been too strongly put on learning that scientific process and inquiry skills. Don't get me wrong, extremely important, and we definitely need to lay those foundations. But we were so focused on those that we were only asking our students to answer questions or write a lab report. And so some of the time when they were given free rein to do projects and express their ideas, they really excelled and they were really interested in that information. However, those times were very limited, like maybe 10% out of the remaining 90%. So I was thinking about how we could incorporate some STEM or STEAM into climate change, because if you've been following the web series, my whole thing is that we don't do a very good job, at least in my school board, of teaching climate change in grade 10 science. In fact, in grade 10 science in my school board, I'm sure most of us feel this. The end of the year crunch comes on, and I maybe have 4 or 5 days left to teach a whole unit. So maybe watch my previous video on some ways that I learned this year to fit some more climate change in. But what I wanted to challenge you guys to do is to use art as a form of outlet for our students. And art doesn't just have to be, okay, they can draw a landscape or paint a picture, but what about photography? Or actually going outside with our students to teach climate change. One of the things that I love doing in grade 9 science is for that ecology unit. Is I save that unit either for the first unit if it's fall term, or the last unit if it's winter term, so that we can always have that outside time to study that ecology and that diversity of life. Why don't we do the same thing with climate change? Let's get our kids out of their seats and out of their classroom. Once we get them engaged in the activities that they're doing and they're taking pictures, there's some other tools like e-cards where they can use those to kind of inform their classmates, or make bulletin boards, or use some sort of activism project. And instead of thinking activism with picket signs and walking around like that, how about we just think of activism as starting the conversation? So that's my challenge for you guys this week. Let me know how it goes. Thanks.